Welcome in this video series where we install the Payara server on the Microsoft Azure platform. The goal of this video series is that we have a Payara server which is running an application that can read data from the Postgres database, which is also installed on that same Azure platform. In the previous videos, we installed the Payara server. So we installed the Ubuntu server and made the Payara server, ready for remote access, install the application later on. But now we first need to install the database server, of course, and create a table with some records in it so that our application can read that information. So to install the Postgres database, we go back to the Azure portal, and we can create a new resource, just as we did before, but this time we select a specific wizard for the Postgres database. There is something called Azure Database for Postgres, and we can create that one. We have several options, just a single server, more advanced solutions. For this simple example, a single server is enough. Have a look at the description to see what you require, what is best for your situation. Then we select our resource group because we like to put everything together in one resource group. So put the same resource group as before. And then we can specify the name, the server name for the Postgres server. I put the location near to me, a data center near to my location to minimize the latency. And since it is just a simple example server, I don't need a lot of cores assigned. The memory, the storage is already at minimum. I cannot change it. And all those parameters influence the monthly cost that that resource will cost you on the Azure platform. Then we need to specify a admin username and password. So let's put that info also in these fields. The password has some requirements for security with uppercase, special letters, etc. Confirm to make sure that they are the same so that we can type it in later on again. You have additional settings available. Again, go over them if you need more details, but for this time it is good enough, and we can immediately start creating the resource. You see that the deployment of the Postgres server is in progress, and it can take a time, but then we have our server and we can continue configuring so that we can access it from our application. So our resource is created. The next step that we need to do is to make it accessible from the outside, because there are IP, firewall rules, etc. So in this connection security menu item here, we can configure all those rules that are required to access our Postgres database. And for now, I only add my local IP address as a IP address which is allowed to connect to the database, so that I can start up a client to configure my database, for instance. If you are running your application later on, of course, then you need to specify also the IP address of the server which is running the Payara server instance, so that it can also access the database. After clicking save, he is updating the connection rules, and after that we can start up our client. I have here the pgadmin server as in to access any Postgres database, and I can add then that server that we have created. What is the server address, the IP address? Well, it's located here. You can see Rubus demo with the full host name. So that's the location that we can create. We can say that this is our database on Azure, and the connection, that's the host name. The username is the name that we specified on that page. We have to specify also the location, the host who is holding that username. So it is in this case Rudy at Rubus demo. And then we specify the password that we have done earlier in that same screen. And then we can see that we have that information here. So we have a connection to that Postgres schema as in Postgres database on that on the Azure platform. We do not have a table yet, of course, so let's create a table. So I have here a create table statement, just a simple table for the demo that I will deploy later on Payara Server. And I can execute that command. So now we can insert a record in that table that we have created. And we have inserted one record, and if we refresh here, we can see that the table is present with all the columns, etc. So now that we have our database, now we can configure that database into the Payara server that we have set up earlier on. So in this video, we installed the database server and defined a table and a record so that our application can use it. That application we install in the next video on the Payara server and see if everything works as expected. See you in the next video. Bye.